Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's MPO Policy Committee. Today's date's October 16, 2024. Approximate time is 1:30. We have, obviously on Spectrum TV, channel 1300. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting to order. Let's go ahead and get somebody to do roll call, please.
Yes.
One.
Thank you, Judge Tijerina. Judge Tijerina.
Present.
All right. Mayor Dr. Victor D. Trevino. Councilmember Melissa Sierra.
Present.
Councilmember Ruben Gutierrez.
Present.
Commissioner Jesse Gonzalez. Commissioner John Galo. Councilmember Vanessa Perez. Mr. Epigmenio Epi Gonzalez.
Present.
And Mr. Jed A. Brown.
Present.
Chair, you do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Would somebody like to move a motion to excuse?
Motion to excuse? Second.
Any opposed? Motion carries to the ones that were out, obviously. Item 4, this is items requiring policy committee action. This is item 4A is approval of minutes for the meeting held on July 17, 2024. I
Second.
do have a motion. I do have a second. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4B, presentation on the 2024 Transportation Management Area, the TMA certification review by Federal Highway Administration, Representative Kurt D. Falver, with possible action.
Thank you,
Yes, sir,
Mr.
absolutely.
Chairman. I'd like to thank everybody for their participation in June 25th and 26th. We completed our joint FTA, Federal Highway Transportation Certification Review for the MPO for planning process. We found the MPO in excellent status. They're doing a great job developing performance measures and developing plans and tips and UPWP's work programs. And we wanted to commend them. We had about 19 commendations in our report, our final report.
Kurt, if you don't mind, I don't know that mic is working. I know that this one.
Oh, this one's working.
It is working?
Yeah,
Very
it's
well.
working. I
Okay.
can tell my
Just want to make sure.
in the back is.
I just want to make sure.
We're
Okay.
humming along. But the MPO staff.
Yes, give me a second.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. Usually it is the one with the red light that picks
Oh,
up the
okay.
recording for the TV audience.
I'm sorry,
or
I thought this was
outside
the one.
audience.
I apologize,
Not at
but we did an extensive review of the Metropolitan planning process. We found them in good order. We had 19 commendations for the MPO. Juan and Gracie and Edward, they're all doing a great job. We did have about 20 recommendations for improvement, but no corrective actions were found in our review. And I believe, Juan, you put a copy of our draft recommendations and commendations in the
Yes, that's correct.
handout.
There's some commendations and recommendations in the packet. I didn't put the full report yet because I know it's still pending.
Yeah,
final
we have
review.
the-
So once that comes out, I can share that with the committee. But commendations, recommendations are there, and we already started working on some of those recommendations.
That's great. One of the things we found was the website wasn't really up to par. We had a hard time getting into the website as an external user. And so we've asked Juan to work with his IT and the city of Laredo to fix it. And my boss found that when he was looking at my comments, my report. And so we may add that as a recommendation, is that we have an operational website so that people outside the city of Laredo can see in to the work that they're doing, and public participation can be completed as part of that.
I'm sorry, excuse me, the report, was that a email to anybody?
No, the final report is in draft stage right now. We're getting the final comments in from Mike Leary, our PPD director, our planning director. And once I receive those now, I'm going to integrate those comments into the report. And he had like 10 or 15 minor editorial comments. Nothing that would change the outcome of the recommendations or commendations. And so once we get that done, maybe by next week, we'll have a final product and we'll email it out to everybody.
That'd be great.
The cover letter.
Please.
So,
That's
but
where I was
the meat of the process is looking at the recommendations and the commendations. That's all going to be written up within the report. So if you have a copy of those, you have an executive summary type of what we found. We think the MPO is performing well and has many outstanding. We had many outstanding commendations for them. in the final certification report. We're looking forward to continuing our partnership with the city of Laredo and Webb County area MPO. We need to build the public awareness of transportation needs and do more public engagement to make sure those needs are understood by our citizens. And so we're looking forward to putting forth more effort in that area, including those areas that are disadvantaged and low income as we move forward with this planning process. But we had no corrective actions, which is a good thing. A corrective action is something that we would find not meeting or conforming to the regulations or the laws under Title 23, and that would that corrective action process requires you to respond to the the corrective finding within a year, usually 6 months to a year to fix it. And so with the CMP and all the planning documents, we found in good order, and you guys are doing a great job overall. So,
Great to hear that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
any questions?
I have a couple
Yes,
comments.
Yes.
So in reading the commendations, I'm glad you're explaining kind of the commendations, recommendations, and perhaps corrective actions, because I saw the 19 commendations, was feeling pretty good, and then
Yeah.
came to the recommendations and thought, oh, the recommendations are exceeding the commendations.
Well, I think it's a balance.
Yes.
It's kind of a balance, 20 and 20.
Yes,
I think, so.
but it's good to hear that there was no corrective action, and I
Right.
think that has to do with the leadership of Mr. Mendive, and I
Yeah,
want
he's
to
doing a great
congratulate
job.
you on
His
that.
leadership is outstanding in our sites. We think he's doing an outstanding job.
And I did want to just point out that one of the commendations was the fact that this MPO has undertaken the Vision Zero plan.
Right.
And that really speaks to the partnership that we have with the RMA in leading that safety study. So I wanted to thank the RMA also for participating and being a key component of that. And I think I was involved in an active transportation conference in Austin. And Vision Zero is not something that all communities are undertaking.
Right.
And our role there was to sort of let that wider community know what the benefits are.
Yeah.
And I think we are going to reap those benefits shortly. So I'm really excited that this MPO is participating in that process, and that you recognized that.
Yeah, I think that's great because we know some of the bigger cities have adopted Vision Zero plans and policies, but not all of them have. The smaller TMAs and the smaller MPOs have not. And so we need to spread that word, and I appreciate that comment.
No, thank you very much. And thank
We
you
do
for the
have
recommendations.
presentations from our safety engineer on that topic and the national policies and programs that are being implemented to take Vision Zero to the next level. If you'd like to invite us back, we'd be more than willing to give that presentation. I'm giving a presentation next week in Big Spring for the Permian Road Safety Coalition. And so we've already got a package, slide deck prepared to explain it better.
I would love for this committee to hear that presentation. Judge it at any time when you think that
Yeah,
it
if you
can
can-
be worked into the agenda.
If you can put us on the agenda, we'll be here.
Very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you,
Juan,
Judge.
I want to thank you, and great job to everybody actually in the MPO.
Yeah, I wish
staff.
Gracie was here and Edward was here.
Yeah, they're at a
Really?
conference getting some more
there's
professional
me,
development.
Mr. GIS, he's outstanding too.
Oh,
We have a good team, we have good leadership with the committee as well.
they must have not
It's a
said,
whole
they
team
must have
effort.
not put anything that I said, because I didn't say any good recommendations.
I know, you're gonna fire the guy.
Once
He
you
was
see the-
finally like 30 minutes, you're gone.
once you see the report, the summary of the interviews with the elected officials will be there as well, so.
Yeah, we did a one-page summary of all the conversations that we had.
I think you'd enjoy it.
Judge, you were in there and we put you down as the Rock. I remember the Rock statement. I think you liked that comment, so we left it in the report.
I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or?
Oh, we're good. Thank you so much.
Okay,
And
thank
once again, good job, Juan, and good job to all the staff. Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much. You are what makes us keep going in circles and in a good way. So, let me see. 4C, discuss any possible action to provide a letter of support of the City of Laredo Columbia Solitary International Bridge Expansion Project. I left this on there. I just didn't understand why it was even, I mean, it could come to the MPO, but in all reality, it should be going to the City of Laredo, shouldn't it?
So this is a City of Laredo project, and we received a request from our consultant that's working on this expansion project. So it's request for a letter of support from the MPO for their project, for the presidential permit application. So, it's just a
Well,
request.
then
There's a letter in your packet that was provided, we made some edits to it, just to talk about the role as an MPO.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a support letter for that application. Columbia Bridge is inside the MPO boundary, and so that's one reason. It's here also, there's any federal money that's attached to Columbia Bridge in the future. That's something that would need to be programmed in our transportation improvement program.
But, look, I am clueless when it comes to this expansion on the Columbia Bridge. So forgive me for my questions, but I first heard that they wanted to expand it like the World Trade Bridge, and now I'm hearing that they want a whole new paralleling, they want a whole new bridge paralleling the one that we have right now that's there. So I'm clueless. So what are we actually in support of?
Well, I know the consultants are here and they can better explain that. I don't want to misspeak, but I know that the World Trade Bridge expansion also includes a parallel bridge.
Because then I'm also being told that in all reality, the new bridge is gonna be on the county and nobody's come to us in the county. And I've already had numerous people say it's gonna be county land. And I have nobody's come to us and talked to us about this, so I'm just curious.
Good afternoon,
Good
Judge.
afternoon.
Melissa Montemayor, LJA Engineering for the record. And so, LJA is working for the city of Laredo on the Columbia Solidarity Bridge expansion project. So the proposed expansion will be 2 new structures that are parallel to the existing structures. Right now, the proposal is to have 4 lanes on those 2 new structures. So you'll have an additional 8 lanes total being added at Columbia Solidarity to be able to take on the additional traffic that's being proposed over the next, 20, 30, 40 years at Columbia Solidarity. So the application is being submitted before the Thanksgiving holidays. The bridge does follow under the National Defense Authorization Act, so it's within that window of the 120 days that the State Department and the White House has to review and, approve a permit.
So is this strip annexation still part of the city or the county now?
So
If you're gonna parallel and you're gonna build, because what I was told was the city of Laredo stripped annexed that, and it was exactly where the bridge is at. Anything beyond those measurements are gonna be under the county, so I'm questioning
So
because,
it's all within the city and annexed portion, so the city annexed, somewhere around the 90s, or, somewhere around that area. We have all that in our records, and so it was annexed. And I think that the reason that I think y'all took action, that the county commission took action not too long ago, you passed a resolution to sign the application, was because the property was annexed very close to when that original Columbia Solidarity permit
you're right,
was
but it's
issued.
a little bit, it's a little bit skewed, but what happened there was that the city of Laredo found out, so they came to me and said, the city of Laredo found out that we were still part of
Listed on the original.
on the
permit.
original, so all we did is I signed a waiver saying that we don't want anything to do with it, the city of Laredo could run it, they could do it, because at that point in time, we were back on the table, and I didn't wanna go and go that route with the city of Laredo, so we signed it off.
And then, after the original permit was issued, the property was.
And I think it'd be
was
good for the
annexed.
city council members to know, I mean, at that point in time, the county was back on, we could've, I'm just being straightforward, we could've made us think about it and said, you know what, now we wanna be a part of it, and we could've, because we were a part of it, and, we just took action, and I said, I don't think it's the right thing to do, I think it's an opportunity to show good faith, and the county to go ahead and release that to the city of Laredo. I do wanna go back to comments that you made, though. And I think they're very important to be made, and I think it's important because of 405 Bridge, obviously with a presidential permit, we're very excited about it. But you still have some people out there saying, oh, this expansion's never gonna happen, I mean, the 405 Bridge, it's killing us. We all know that it's gonna grow 5 to 7% a year with our new trucks. You just said something very important. look at what's going on. Now we wanna do an expansion on the Columbia Bridge, which we all know that it was pretty much built 40 years probably in advance, all right? And let's say 40 years más o menos, 20 if you wanna go ahead and really go conservative. But it's important that people understand that if we're not ready for all this growth, we're gonna be backed up. And so I wholeheartedly agree, the expansion is something, it's that kind of expansion I really am looking forward to. Something that, anyway, that one is the best kind of expansion, because you clearly go in and out, and egress and ingress is very important, so
Yes.
I like that. But I like what you said there, because a lot of people that are still hating on the 405 bridge, or I shouldn't say a lot, some of the murmur out there, and a very whisper murmur, is going, well, it's gonna kill the World Trade Bridge. No, it's not. I mean, it's growing 5 to 7%, and it's gonna continue growing, and that's really, really important, so.
Judge, may I add something to it?
Yes, please.
Tied to the MPO, the city of Laredo has approached the RMA for a similar letter of support. I think they're just trying to, make the most complete application. So they've asked for a letter of support from us to, I guess, with the deadline, in Thanksgiving. Did I hear that?
Before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So these letters will be
There is a
attached to
similar
that.
request, and I would say this is, since we're a transportation organization, the RMA, any transportation project like that, we haven't voted as in a complete group, but I can tell you, we support the World Trade Bridge, we support Bridge 4-5, we support enhancing, Columbia Bridge. I think they're all worthy projects, and I think our community needs all of them.
Appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and, I know it's not really asking for one, but I'm gonna go ahead and move a motion to go ahead and, provide that letter of support.
Second.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, reports and presentations. This is no action required. This will be a status report by the Regional Mobility Authority, the RMA.
Thank you, Judge. Jed Brown, Chair of the RMA. In your packet, there are 4 or 5 consecutive pages. What we've done is we've split out Viacio and Safe Streets for All to give them a more detailed report to the policy committee members or anybody that wants to check the agenda and the packet. I'll talk about those in a minute, but quick update since we haven't met in a little while. Springfield 4, we've allocated $1 million to the city. The ILA has been executed. I believe TxDOT has already been working on the connection at Loop 20. So now it's a matter of the city going out for bid and awarding that project and then doing the connection. So Springfield will, not too far off, connect all the way to Loop 20. We're a participant in that through some funding. The Concord Hills project, I'm excited to report as of last night, I received a draft ILA that will be provided to the city as soon as I've reviewed it and LJ's reviewed it. That has become a project that we've spent a lot of time with the city on. I see Concord Hills as the Springfield of South Laredo because it's a north-south arterial that really will eventually carry a lot of traffic. The developer in that area, the principal developer that has most of the right-of-way, has offered to pay for all the civil engineering. That's probably $350,000. That's Donato Ramos and his team. I think that was a good contribution. I'm pleased to report as of about a week ago, the Webb County Drainage District #1 has contributed $325,000 to the project. So that's a good addition. So that project is moving along, and there's 2 TRZs in here that we're actively working on with the city. I think those will go before council sooner than later. The 3 main aspects of the report would be the Viacio Road project. You can read that. As soon as the MPO asks, we can give more detailed updates. It's still a little ways off before I think we need to have the kind of updates y'all have been getting on HR. But I promise you, we're spending a lot of time working on that. The Safe Streets for All project, which is Vision Zero, that's moving along. That report should be finalized by the end of this year. There's money left in the budget for us to move towards implementation. A group of different representatives from the community will work together to identify what I would call the 10 areas of biggest need that are identified in the report, to try and pick parts of town that can actually use improvements that'll help save lives, help cause less wrecks, and save lives. That's something that'll come back to the MPO for presentation, probably in the January meeting, I'm thinking. So that project's moving along nicely. Last thing would be the Vallecillo overpass. We had a meeting at the end of September out on the Mines Road, essentially a stakeholders meeting, a public engagement meeting that was very, very well attended. I was pleased when I showed up to see how many people were there. The overpass is not specifically our project, the RMA, but we're actively working on it because it needs to happen in conjunction with the Vallecillo Road project. Something that's come up fairly recently in TxDOT's review of the design is they're feeling like that additional right-of-way is needed for the slope of the overpass back to the west into the Killam's property on the west. So I think the boundaries of that will need to be redefined. I understand LJ and the other team of consultants working on it is looking at that, and we'll work with TxDOT on it. The newest thing, though, that has come up, and we're very open-minded to it, is there may be a change in the design of the overpass that was discussed in that meeting. TxDOT has a different idea of what might be a better overpass design there to carry additional traffic that's also tied to what is planned by the Killam's on the east side of 35. So there's got a lot of discussions there. I visited before the meeting with our district engineer, with Epi, and with Anna Duncan about that. If additional right-of-way is needed on the west side of 35 on Vallecillo, we need to know that sooner than later, just so that we can be planning for that with environmental clearances and with surveying and everything that goes along with it, because we're a long ways into the surveying process and we're a long ways into environmental. And I'll be honest, we learned from a char. We watched what was going on with it at char. Things like this just take forever. You think you take 2 steps forward. Unfortunately, it feels like you take a step back, then you take 2 steps forward again. And Vallecillo is moving along. We're trying to stay on the schedule, but any changes to what may be the design of that overpass could impact what's happening on the west side. And we're going to be reactive to what TxDOT feels is the best design of overpass. And that may mean we have to go back to Killam. When I say we may have, the RMA have to go back to Killam and say, okay, because of what TxDOT thinks is the optimal design and what's in your best interest, there's additional right-of-way that may be needed, and hopefully they're receptive to that. I'm sure they would be. But there's a lot going on with that overpass. We really want to see that overpass funded in next year's UTP. And I feel pretty good it can happen because of conversations we've had when the commissioners have come to town. They see how important that project is, just like the char, all the activity in that area. But we need to define what that overpass looks like so that we are asking for the right amount of money. The current design is probably a $45 million overpass, a conventional design. The redesign might be, $65 million. I don't know what it is, and I don't think, Epi, I don't think y'all have identified a draft budget on the other design.
Sure. So if I may add, so one of the things, like Jed mentioned, we have a pretty good idea of what's being proposed on the west side. I think, just conversations that we've had with the property owners on the east side, we want to make sure that we're building a bridge that's not going to become obsolete in 10 years, right, or whatever. So that's kind of what spurred this conversation. And the main thing is just understanding what that's going to look like. The road east of 35, and I think as far as the cost, obviously, we can build it in phases. We just need to make sure that whatever gets built now is going to be able to be expanded, or that we're going to have the room to come in and build the additional lanes in the future, right? So we're not going to have to build the entire thing at this point, but we do want to set that footprint correctly so that it functions, right? So those are the conversations that I think we need to continue to have, just to make sure that we don't get too far along and then have to kind of backtrack, or worst case, build something that's not gonna meet the needs, the future needs, right? So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Update and presentation. This is 5B. Update and presentation on the 2025-2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP. Oh my gosh.
2050. Well, I guess Juan gets ready here. I would like to see if we could add for next month update on the HR roofing.
Actually, you're going to talk about it right now under communications.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
talk about that right now. They were talking about maybe adding text dot updates more frequently. We'll talk to you about that in the chair. Thank you all. If you have a presentation on an update of our Metropolitan Transportation Plan, I know some of you have attended our public meeting, the public meeting we had back in May, and you can see in our emails that go out, and I've provided updates in my director's comments. Let me just put the full page for you here. All right. So as the judge mentioned, it's 2025 to 2050. So this is a 25-year plan. It is a required plan. I just want to give you a little update on the progress, where we're at, and where we're going. So the agenda just background on the MTP, existing conditions, public and stakeholder involvement, our project nominations, the evaluation process, and the next steps. So just a quick overview of our functions as an MPO and why we're all here today, right? The MPO is responsible for the comprehensive, cooperative, and continuing regional transportation planning for the urbanized area with populations of 50,000 or more. In like our case, the Laredo urbanized area, this comprehensive, cooperative, continuing is known as the 3C process. So MPOs facilitate the 3C planning process, establishing a means for local governments to have input on how federal investments are made within their communities. And we're talking a lot about, how we fund projects. So that's one of the roles that we have here as an MPO. We're required to develop a metropolitan transportation plan to make sure that we're guiding those projects and we're guiding the future development of these projects. And as you all know, the Laredo Webb County Area MPO is the MPO for our urbanized area, which is comprised of the city of Laredo, city of Rio Bravo, and portions of Webb County. So what exactly is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan? Again, it's a 25-year planning horizon. It's required to be updated every 5 years because we're in an attainment area for air quality at the moment, right? So we need to update this every 5 years. So we're looking to adopt this by January of 2025. That's our deadline. The purpose, the MTP establishes a long-term transportation policy agenda for the region, and the MTP outlines regional transportation priorities and identifies transportation projects to meet the regional transportation goals over the plan's horizon while remaining fiscally constrained. So we're looking at all this right within our regional aspect, within this MPO boundary, which could also be expanded. Right, we've had through this process, we're looking at that a little bit to see we can expand it. We came up with some maps, and maybe once this is adopted, it'll be like a recommendation of potential expansion. So that'll be a conversation for later. But it's something that we're looking at, right? Maybe expanding to the south of the county line to capture Bridge 4-5, make sure that we're developing the infrastructure that's needed, and maybe going north a little bit to make sure we capture all that area of State Highway 255. But this is our boundary right now. So what are the goals and objectives for our Metropolitan Transportation Plan? These align with the national planning performance goals, as well as the national planning factors, and also the goals that are in the state's long-range transportation plan. So like TxDOT's long-range transportation plan. So the first goal, of course, is safety, right? We talked about Vision Zero just a while ago. So we want to make sure we're improving the safety of our transportation system across all modes and for all users. Asset preservation, economic vitality and competitiveness, system reliability, innovation and technology. It's also one of the goals. We have a total of 10 goals in total. The other 5 are connectivity. It's important, right, to have our transportation system well connected. Equity is important, as Mr. Falver with FHWA mentioned, right? That's something that we need to be looking at in one of the recommendations, making sure that our investment decisions are also equitable for our region. We're looking at environmental sustainability, climate resilience, which is also very important, and sustainable financing. Make sure that we're able to identify responsible financing options that are sustainable in the long run. Those are our goals and objectives. I wanted to share these because you'll see at the end when I'm talking about how we're ranking the projects or how we're evaluating the projects, it ties back to these goals and objectives. I'll kind of just run through this right away on the existing population. As of 2022, our ACS 5-year estimate for the city of Laredo was 255,293. For the metropolitan planning area, it's about 264,487. The shaded areas on the maps where you have higher concentrations of population. As part of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, we work with our travel demand model, which TTI, the Texas A&M Transportation Institute, or Texas Transportation Institute, helps us with, and we work in partnership with TxDOT as well. So this travel demand model helps us forecast population to the year 2050 to help plan for these projects as well as employment. We did a high growth scenario as well. There's a low growth scenario that was provided by TxDOT through their UTSA team that does demographics. But just, being on the border, we know that there might be a lot more growth that's not accounted for. So we also employed a high growth scenario. Based on that, the total population is forecasted to about 489,000 by 2050. This map shows the 2050 concentration of population. So you see some growth areas, further in the northwest, or further north. For modeling purposes, we went beyond the MPO boundary because we know that the region's growing past our boundary. For employment forecast, same thing. We're looking at total employment being forecasted to 187,780 jobs by 2050. See these darker areas, out here where you have the future I-27 corridor. Some growth here. You see some industrial development out in these areas by 35, right? Even along Mines Road, continued growth. And pretty much you're seeing growth all over through 2050. Those darker areas are where we're forecasting more of the growth. But you even see some growth down here where we have the proposed bridge 4 or 5, right? So we're expecting there to be employment in 2050 by then. So part of this MTP also looks at our freight network. That's important. As you all know, Laredo became the nation's top port in 2023 with $320 billion in total U.S. trade. So it's very important for us as an MPO to be looking at our freight network and our port of entries as well. So that's something that we're doing through this process, and we're going to have some recommendations in the plan. There's a whole chapter dedicated to freight within our plan. Truck traffic is part of that, right? Freight analysis. So those darker areas, the dark yellow on I-35, Mines Road, right? Nothing new. It's just showing that those are the more truck congested roadways. So we also analyze that. A large amount of the annual average daily traffic of I-35 and I-69 is linked to truck traffic, reaching a maximum of 20,565. That's just trucks alone. So all this is all kind of existing conditions that you'll see once we have the draft MTP report out as well. Something else that we're looking at too, again, tying back to Mission Zero, is safety and security of our transportation system. These yellow areas, these hot spots on the map, right, show where there's a larger activity, or there's more crashes, fatal and severe crashes that involve fatalities and severe injuries, And we are also looking at resiliency as part of this plan, with the goal to improve resiliency and the reliability of our transportation system, as well as to reduce or mitigate stormwater impacts of surface transportation. So as part of this MTP development, analyzing the transportation system vulnerabilities to a variety of extreme weather events, including high surface temperature events. So this is just a map that shows the high summer average surface temperatures. We know it's hot everywhere, but there are areas, because of the lack of trees or just, the pavement that's there, maybe it's a little bit hotter. I know we promote walkability a lot and transit use as well, but there's also populations that do bike, that walk, that take the bus. It's important for us to look at this, right? Because there is transit-dependent populations. So just to go over the public and stakeholder involvement that we've done as part of this, we've had a lot of stakeholder involvement. We've had a public meeting, but we met with the technical committee first on April 4th to introduce this MTP and to do a SWOT analysis with them. On August 27th, we went over the project evaluation criteria with them, so they helped us, design that project evaluation criteria. On September 10th, we did a project scoring overview, and then they helped us score the projects as well after that. The stakeholder meetings, we've met individually, virtually with Metro, TxDOT, Regional Mobility Authority, Economic Development and Trade Partners. So we met, for example, with Miriam Castillo, with Economic Development, and we had a few other people, Gilberto from Airport and Ms. Yvette Limon from Bridge. And we're also have a pending meeting that we scheduled for next week with community development and housing agencies. Under the new bipartisan infrastructure law, it's a requirement for the MPOs to coordinate in their metropolitan transportation planning activities with housing agencies, right? There's more because of those linkages between housing and transportation. For public meetings, we had a public meeting on May 23rd, 2024. We had about 40 attendees at that meeting. I know some of the members here were in attendance, and we're planning our second public meeting to be held on November 21st, which is the day after our policy meeting next month, So the survey, it was launched at the first public meeting. We got responses between May and July. We didn't get as many responses as we wanted, but I guess, again, this was just to get additional feedback in addition to what we heard at the public meeting. But the key takeaways from that were most respondents traveled by personal vehicle and feel that their travel times are long and congested, and the conditions for biking and walking are perceived as unsafe and require improvements. Those were two key takeaways from the survey results. So I had mentioned the process of scoring projects, right? There's a lot of projects that we already have programmed in our TIP, so those are going to automatically come out in the MTP list, right? The projects we funded here, Lomas del Sur overpass, as an example, the Maganaheim project, since the charter within already led, you won't see that anymore, but like Vallecillo, so that's a lead, that'll be in the MTP program list as well, project list. But beyond that, we asked for project nominations from our stakeholders and the public. So we had a public call for project nominations held August 30th through September 20th. Again, these are projects that would be eligible for federal funding, right? So, but it could be for different modes: transit, bicycle, pedestrian, and highway improvements. In total, we received 19 project nominations. 2 came from citizens, 4 from the RMA, and we got 13 from TxDOT. So we're reviewing all these projects with our technical committee, and we're going through a scoring exercise with them for that. There's going to be objective criteria and subjective criteria to score those projects. That will help us rank the projects beyond the ones that we already have programmed, see where they rank, and bring that back to you. If you all accept that list, that'll be our priority list. We can have a discussion about that if there's any change, but we'll look at that, and that's going to pretty much be our guide for the next 25 years, right? These projects, again, the MTP can be amended, right, at any time, of course, with public input. And so part of that project evaluation and prioritization, again, the criteria looked at objective criteria, which is data-driven criteria that align with the MTP goals. So for an example, for the safety, Renovation Sur was doing the plan, the safety action plan. They created a high injury network, right, that uses CRIS data from TxDOT. So there's hotspots on there where the most accidents happen. So for example, if a road project there's a safety project that's gonna enhance safety in a certain area that's on that high injury network, it would receive additional points. So that's kind of the way we handle that objective criteria. It aligns with each goal. I have that here if you want to see it. And the subjective criteria, again, is just criteria to align scoring with stakeholder and community priorities. So one of them, for example, would be project readiness, right? And also community aesthetics was another example of that. So the technical committee did a scoring exercise to score the subjective aspect, right, of this evaluation. So right now we're going through the process of tallying everything up, and we'll have something at the next meeting to show you how the project list came out. So the next steps to finalize this, we're finalizing that project list that I just mentioned. We need to complete the draft MTP document, so we'll actually have that by next month's meeting in November. We'll be bringing that as a draft to this committee to open a 45-day public comment period. We're also going to have a public meeting November 21st, the day after that meeting. Our consultants will be here to present to this committee, and then we'll be having the public meeting the next day. Everyone will be invited again, and after that, we're just going to open that comment period, receive comments from the public. If there's any changes that we need to make, we'll work on that. And then the final step would be to adopt that final MTP, with our goal being it being adopted in January of 2025. That's where we're at right now. Open to any questions.
Any questions or comments, colleagues? None had, sir.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't really agree with the census numbers, but we'll go on.
Yeah, that's another reason why we did that high growth scenario, because the numbers we got back were showing that we would have like 308,000 people by 2050, and and then when you're doing that in the forecast model, it's also accounting for traffic, and we know there's a lot of traffic coming in from Mexico, so it just wouldn't be.
Don't get me started on that, because
Yeah.
it's always another hour.
Another discussion. But thank you all for your time.
Agree with it.
Thank you.
All right, we have director's comments. We'll go ahead and bypass that for a second if you want, or you
Yeah.
want to go ahead and finish it off.
I can finish it here.
Finish it off.
I just forgot I was going to do that. I'll do it. Let's see. All right. Well, thank you for my director's comments. First thing on here, and I don't know if you all saw, I did email a pretty detailed report last month. I know we didn't meet. It's good to see everyone again, right? I know we haven't had a meeting the last 2 months, but we've been busy at work with the MTP. I did send a detailed report, so hopefully you got to see that. For October, just wanted to update you on our micro transit feasibility study. We're working with the Metro on the study. and it's authorized in our FY 24-25 UPWP. Kickoff meeting was held with the consultants with Metro on September 5th. And we're continuing to meet with them every 2 weeks to discuss the project's progress. And this study will probably last about 9 months. The other thing that's very important and that we're monitoring is the potential state designations for the 2024 PM 2.5 National Ambient Air Quality Standards, right? Because of that, there's a chance that Laredo, Webb County is going to become a non-attainment region. And we know that when that happens, there's going to be additional requirements that we have to do as an MPO when we're using federal funds for transportation projects. So we're following that closely, and we're looking for guidance from our TechStop partners and our FHWA partners on that. So we'll continue to update you on that. I don't know, there might be a phase-in period even after we become non-attainment. One of the first things I can think about maybe would be like this MTP that's required every 5 years. If you're in a non-attainment area, it's required every 4 years. That's just one example. We've been also going to conferences, attending different professional development opportunities. So actually last month, I attended the I-27 Advisory Committee meeting in Del Rio, Texas on September 19th, 2024. Gave a brief presentation update on our activities as an MPO. I know Mr. Epi Gonzalez was there as well, and he also gave a presentation. I think overall, it's a good meeting. Currently, two of our planners, Ms. Gracie Briones and Eddie Bernardo, are attending the American Planning Association Texas Chapter Conference in Allen, Texas. That's why we don't have the full team here today. The upcoming Texas Transportation Commission meetings are October 31st, November 14th, and December 17th. I did mention in the report last month that Councilmember Melissa Sierra and myself were at the August Transportation Commission meeting, speaking in support of the 2025 UTP. So it's a good opportunity to network as well. Thank the commission for looking out for Laredo. And finally, the upcoming regularly scheduled MPO meetings for the MPO. We have our Active Transportation Committee October 30th, Technical Committee November 12th, and we'll be meeting here next month, November 20th. So I look forward to that. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments, colleagues?
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you planning on attending any of these Texas Transportation Commission meetings? Is there an opportunity to comment?
Through the end of the year, I wasn't looking at anything. I don't know if there's any items that that we can go and speak on, but we'll be open to it. Maybe even December. I know we haven't had a meeting in December traditionally for the MPO unless one is needed. So perhaps maybe if we don't meet again that month, we could travel. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I know we usually go when it's the UTP. I know they're getting that started, so it's going to be a while before we have some items that we can go actually speak in favor of. But you can always give public comments, right?
All right, well, I do feel, I know that when we went up there, the idea was to mention Vallecillo, but it didn't quite work out that way because of all the focus on the UTP. But I do think that the commissioners were receptive to understanding the current conditions in Laredo, the challenges that we're facing with our growth, and I think that ties in very well with our needs for Vallecillo and other projects. So I would like to see us attend to be able to remind them of where we're at and what's going on with our particular needs. Maybe discuss the presidential permit and our plans for the bridge expansion and what we feel that means for our future growth and our needs in infrastructure. And so if I would be willing to attend with you at any of these dates.
Yeah, no, as long as, like I mentioned, just depending on what else is going on here, I don't know, I'm just going to be pretty busy with the MTP being approved in our public meetings, but maybe December would be a good time. We can look at that. I don't know if also, Jed's mentioned before, right, making sure that we have the best people at the mic speaking, especially on behalf of.
I would say best and brightest, and y'all each check those boxes, so. When is the meeting in December, out of curiosity?
December 17th, and they're usually at 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
could be
and
something.
part of, and I appreciate Vallecillo and specifically to the overpass, part of that is understanding what that overpass is gonna be. To me, it's a chicken and egg thing, and that's the reason I brought up what I did about the overpass. What's it gonna look like? Cause it always helps to know what to ask for. Are we asking for a $45 million design, or are we asking for something that's more enhanced? So I think in the matter of a week or two, I've been texting a few people right now saying we really need to be focused on that. that we need to understand what that design might look like, so we know what we're asking for. And the reason I bring that up too is, I mean, my understanding about the August UTP that'll be adopted next August of '25, we have some Category 12 funds that we have to program and ask for. We have to ask for them by January, really, to make sure they make it in. And I used to think we could ask for it all the way through like May. No, they want to know our list really by end of year. So it's your point about asking for things in December is not a bad idea. But the more we get the message out there, I mean, anytime they come to town, I actually talk to them about it, and they're familiar with it. When Lance Simmons was here, like, you know, I don't know what his title is. What's Lance's title? He's like deputy, but I don't know what his official title is.
So he's the chief engineer for the state.
Okay, he's up there on the totem pole.
Oh,
Yeah, he approached me actually at the ribbon cutting out there, the one we had a month and a half ago, and said, "Don't worry, Jed. I remember what we discussed August 2nd, 2 years ago. We know what's happening with that overpass, and it's in our minds." So they're thinking about it.
Very good.
Well, and then we had the border connectivity seminar yesterday. And there was a lot of presentation about the projects and a lot of focus on not only border connectivity, but how do we meet our infrastructure needs, understanding the need to increase trade, to make sure that that flow is, there's no obstacles, and make these more efficient, right? And they're going up at Texas Department of Transportation is holding these meetings in all of the different port areas. But in Laredo, we drew in a lot of people from Mexico and our surrounding communities to focus on the importance of Laredo as the #1 port. And obviously, I think other communities came in to try to see how they could connect to us. But I think what was very apparent is that the reason why Laredo is such a powerhouse is not only our location, which of course helps us greatly. The infrastructure, the existing infrastructure is all Laredo. They're looking for ways to expand it, but right now, Laredo infrastructure is the most desirable for all of the trade going up and down. And then I would say also the investments that Laredo has made to ensure that our port is functioning and efficient. The expansion, I think, helps us with the bridge expansion at Columbia and our future growth plans. It's a lot. So I think TxDOT has us on their map, but we just need to continue to remind them that this only happens when we get the dollars that we need to continue this planned growth.
Very well. Okay.
So I guess I'll just add, right, you know, a few years ago, the UTP, I think, for Laredo was like in the $200 to $300 million. Now it's at 2.1 billion. So that's you know, that's
Well, let's go even beyond that.
Well,
In order for us to come to par, just to come even with our infrastructure here, guys, it's $10 billion is what we're lacking.
Yeah.
So no, I understand that.
No,
But again,
You were at the same meeting I was in, so that Senate Bill 4422.
Yes.
And so they went through every single, we were there how many hours? I don't even know how many hours we were there. It was actually fascinating to me. But it was $10 billion is what we're lacking.
You know, and so, but we are making obviously strides. I think everybody understands the importance of the region and, you know, how strategic, as you mentioned, Councilwoman, you know, how strategic Laredo is to not just the area, not just the state, but even the country as a whole, right? So.
Very good. Okay, you might want to just stay on that totem pole. You might want to stay up there on the stage and go ahead and give us a little presentation on, a chart? On a chart, Ruth, please.
Okay. Well, okay, so construction did start already, so we have.
Hold on. Say it again?
On a chart,
Yeah.
construction already started.
Can you say that one more time?
Okay, construction already started.
Oh, that's music to my ears, baby. Go ahead. That's loud and proud. Okay,
So-
very good.
So construction already started. We do have, I know Anna here is probably a lot more familiar with some of the challenges that we're having as far as some of the utilities. I know I know Ramon and his staff are not here, but you know, we are running into a little bit of some challenges. I think some utilities are to that point. You know, they haven't impacted the the contractor, but they're getting to that point where, you know, they're behind schedule. So, you know, in conversations that we've had with the contractor, they are trying to, their goal is to finish the project 1 year in advance. So, you know, they're very aggressive, so again, we do have that, construction management plan that we worked on before letting. That kind of protects us and protects the city, you know, from possible, you know, delay or inefficiency claims. But though we did have dates associated for when those utilities were going to be cleared. And like I said, we're getting to that point where we're either behind schedule and looks like we're not gonna be able to meet that. And at that point, the contractor could come back and, you know, or claim inefficiencies or delays, right? So anyway, so I know it's hard, you know, because, I guess Ramon and his, folks are not here, but that's why, you know, we still need that, we still need to keep that
I'll
pressure.
still put it on for next month, though. So
Okay.
don't worry about it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
Is there something that the city of Laredo in particular can do to push forward through the utilities issue?
So absolutely, I know, we've been having meetings, you know, I think, we have them bi-weekly, meetings. And, you know, so we, you know, and there's obviously been some progress, you know, the only thing is that, you know, you know, I think we're needing some additional effort in terms of reviewing the submittals, the designs for these utilities. I think, you know, we have, like I said, we have done a lot of good work with the utility companies, but still, the design, I think, on some of these utilities, and I know we have some major ones like AEP transmission lines, those designs are late. You know, they weren't submitted at the time that it was agreed upon, so more than likely it's going to kind of, you know, ripple into or delay possibly the actual relocation of the utility line. So, and, so those are things, you know, that we really need to kind of get the city's cooperation and hopefully get them cleared before they really start having an impact on the
Who is
structure.
responsible for the AEP transmissions lines plan?
So one of the you know, the agreement that we had was, you know, the city of Laredo was responsible for the right-of-way acquisition and for the utility adjustment. So and the city, I mean, again, Ramon is aware of that. You know, they've obviously budgeted some monies to pay for some of these utility adjustments. I'm not exactly sure where we are in terms of the budget, you know, and I guess the budget that was originally set versus the latest cost estimate, right? So, but I mean, Ramon is aware of that, and, you know, again, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, we don't get to the point where we could potentially face, you know, delay claims from the
Right,
contractor.
so the city is responsible for
Correct.
getting the transmission lines plan in place for AEP?
Well, it was the utility, so the utility adjustments, right? So basically clear the project of utility. So the city is responsible for the right-of-way acquisition, which on the right-of-way side, I think there's only one more parcel. I think it's parcel 3 that's still pending eminent domain. And, you know, but on the utility side, the city was coordinating with the utility companies and actually making sure that the utility companies adjust their utilities in a manner that it's not gonna, impact our contractors.
Am I correct by saying what I'm fixing to say is that any delays also are gonna affect the city, because they're the ones that have to pay for it too?
Correct. So basically, yes. So at and that's why it's very, very important. I think, you know, one of the, you know, that is, I think, the sense of urgency, I think, from us, right? And that it could potentially impact the city's
Very good.
budget, so.
I'll bring it back next month as well.
Okay.
I think it's important, and then maybe we could do a follow-up to Councilwoman.
Thank you.
And so, I think that's it for communications. I'd like to go ahead and maybe do some communications. I'd like to say, congratulations, think are in order for Webb County. I think the 4-5 bridge, we're very excited about that. It is not just for Webb County, it's also for this city, the county, the region. I think it's very, very important, so we're very, very excited that this has been, since that was actually on my to-do list since in 2010 when I lost my first bid as county judge, and then in 2015 when I came in, this has been something that I've been working really hard for. And it took 9 years, but here we are today. And so one of the things that I will address the city as we're sitting here together right now, some of you all, is that we are in negotiations, still in negotiations with South Webb Bridge. We did different things for different reasons that eventually come out. I know we have some high elected officials that are kind of saying things that, we have nothing to do with it and whatnot. And it's kind of disingenuous because everybody knows how much we've worked at this particular project. And so I will tell you that we're going to finalize our contract with South Webb Bridge and ICA. They're going to be partners as well. And once we come and finish that, then we'll bring it to you all and see what we want to do and how we want to do it. Because I surely don't want to run the bridge. And I hope that the city of Laredo does. And so even though that I've had many people tell me, well, we're in the bridge business. Well, so is McDonald's and Whataburger and Glass Kitchen and everybody else. It's not the only hamburger joints in town. We all can do it, but the point is that we would like to have a favorable and a great opportunity to work together on the bridge. So that's something that I'm looking forward to bringing to you all here before long.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What is ICA?
ICA's it's a company out of Mexico that pretty much does everything from finances to wealth management to construction to everything. It's a major, major, major company.
Is it IKA or?
I think it's IKA, if I'm not mistaken. ICA. So
Thank
it's
you.
something. Anything else that I needed to bring up?
Congratulations, Judge.
Thank you.
Yes,
I appreciate that. Congratulations to the region.
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge. This is huge. I mean, it's getting a lot of notoriety in a lot of different places. This is something that's big for our county, and it's not going to stop. It won't stop. So the growth is not going to stop. I do want to say, I mean, I just said it not too long ago in San Antonio. They invited me to go and speak at the Chamber of Commerce over there last week, if I'm not mistaken. They had over 400 people sitting there. It was really good. I was in a panel with two other judges, Judge Sakai from Bexar County and Judge Lutz from Medina County. It was us three that were talking, and we gave about an hour and a half presentation. And it was amazing. They were amazed to hear what's going on in Webb County and Laredo. They still think it's that sleepy old town, which is not anymore. And so it's great opportunities that we have, but we have to continue working hard for it. And you know what's, and I'm just going to put this out there. We need to work as one. We need to work as one. Enough of the division, enough of the breaking, the brokenness, enough of who's trying. It gets tiring. And I could probably write a book about it right now if you want me to. But it's really sad when these 9 years, you have people that should be working for you are actually working against you. But it all comes out. Time will tell, and time's going to move forward. But more importantly, this region is going to be a global region to be reckoning with. So we're very proud of it.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say about that. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.